Well, hello again everybody. Well, it's reached that point, I'm afraid, where I can no longer move in my own room, in my own little kingdom. There is logic analyzers everywhere, or bits of them, to the point where I can hardly even come in and work on everything. So maybe reluctantly I'm going to have to tidy up. Although, you know, I've reached the point where tidying up doesn't work anymore. It's a bit like, do you remember that game where you had little letters and they were arranged in a tile and you had to like shuffle the little letters around? You had one square missing and all the tiles could slide past each other. So basically that's all I can do now. I can't really tidy up. All I can actually do is just move things around until I fall over them. So maybe my my hoarding problem has reached its crescendo. And if the audio sounds a little bit funny, that's because I can't find my wireless microphone. I'm sure it's in here somewhere, but I've got no idea where. So you guys want to have a look round, and if you can see it, please shout loudly. It's got to be in here somewhere, hasn't it? Well, I hope you can see behind me here I've got another HP16500C logic analyzer. Now this is the second one I've bought and had to import from the United States. I don't even remember the first one. It was covered in one of my previous videos where we bought one, and when we got it here we found out that the back of the tube was smashed. So I bought another one online. It was relatively cheap, but still £100 packing and postage, unfortunately, because these are very heavy items. So I bought another one, and I bought it spares a repair, so I knew it wasn't working, and I thought I would take a chance and I would take out the CRT module and put it in the other one. Well, that one duly arrived, and yeah, you've guessed it, the CRT module didn't work either. But at least it's not smashed. There's nothing smashed at all in it. So in the unit behind me, just to explain what we've got the original, the first 16500C that we bought, the one that had the smashed tube, and it's got the CRT module out of the second one that I bought for spares or repair. And I just swapped it over because I wanted to double check that you know, the reason it wasn't working is maybe it was missing some drive from the analyzer. I did try it in the original unit and it's just totally dead. So we're going to have a look at that today. What I'll probably do is record, you know, a little bit of the video, and I will post it up to you guys to get some advice, because I'm not really sure what to do with CRTs. I mean, I have restored a couple of old 405 line TVs, but you know, if you've worked on valve radios, it's more like plumbing than electronics, and you know, sometimes you can repair things with really understanding how they work. And previously I had the circuit diagrams when I restored the old valve radios. Well, unfortunately I haven't managed to find any circuit diagrams for this. I have got the maintenance, the repair and service instructions, but I don't know if that's common to HP. There's actually no schematics in there. But you know, I'm hoping that this being a TV fault, there's enough people out there who, you know, they understand about TVs, they've worked on old computer monitors, and you know, you might be able to give me a hand and, you know, help walk me through repairing this thing, because I'm not sure what to do with it. The CRT module itself, it's actually not made by HP, it's actually made by Sony, and HP bought them and just installed them. So just picking it up above my head, this one is the first CRT module out of the original unit, and it's kind of partly disassembled, and it's got you know, the tube is smashed at the back, so it's not got a vacuum in it. So, but apart from that, when you actually switch it on, you can hear it crackling, so there's definitely HT floating around the place. Whereas the unit that I've got down there, when you power it up, it's totally dead. You know, it doesn't do anything, no crackles, no noise. It's as though it's not even powered up. But I don't really know where to start with it, so I've put a few questions on the you know, the vintage radio repair forum, because I'm sure there's lots of TV people on there, and also a couple of posts I put on the EV blog, people, you know, asking for suggestions to where to start. But I think you guys are probably going to be my best bet. You've never let me down so far. So what we'll do is we'll maybe have a look at it together, and you know, you can post all your thoughts and tell me what to do next. Right, I'm going to have a little bit of a tidy up, because I can't bring you in, because What can I say? Okay, so here we've got the new CRT module, and that's installed in the old 16500C. Now I'm actually going to take it out again, this CRT module, because I've powered it up and it does absolutely nothing. But what I want to do is I'm just going to put the old CRT module back in, but maybe I'm even going to see if I can actually connect the CRT module up out of the chassis, because it's just it's very difficult to work on like this. It's pretty much impossible to work on. It's a little bit scary when you have to handle this thing, because you know, the self weight of the instrument, it's probably heavy enough that it will smash itself, you know, if you let things go. And all these rails are kind of undone at the moment, so yeah, just got to be a little bit careful what I'm doing. There's only a couple of wires to disconnect. I think there's the CRT module's pretty self-contained. I just undid a ribbon cable there, so it takes various TTL level sync pulses here, red, green and blue, and also I don't know, some vertical sync information. That goes to the CRT module on this little ribbon cable here. There's a power connector which you can't see, and then there's another connector here which goes to the front panel of the instrument, which is the I think it's the contrast control for the LCD for the CRT. But I don't know which of these cables are critical to make it work, so I'm going to plug the old one in and see if we can fire it up. And also I just want to kind of characterise the old one a little bit to try and figure out, you know, what's going on, see the differences between the old and the new. Because I say we power this up and it does nothing. There's no crackling, no smell. You know, normally you would hear a little bit of a whine because of the line output transformers running. I don't hear anything. I'm sure that somebody who's familiar with TVs could fix this in a minute. You know, the TV people would have no problem with this, but you know, I'm not a TV guy, so yeah, I am struggling. So can I get this out now? That's the question. Maybe I can. Will it come sideways? Will it pull forward? Oh, I've actually right, I've screwed it in at the back to stop it flopping around. Well, you know, whenever you're working on old equipment, really you can't beat having a good book. So got a couple of good books we're going to use. We've got the American, was that Radio Relay League or something like that. This is a good book, so we can use that. And we've got another book here that will help us. And of course here we've got the Television Engineering Handbook. So we'll put that on there. And what we can do with that is we can now balance this on there, and that's we can just about be able to plug it in with a bit of luck there. We'll be able to plug that in and power it up. So here's the power supply cable. Can we get that to go into there? So this is the old chassis, and I'm just going to try and plug it in. Now what I have got is this HT meter, and I've never actually used it before. But what I think I'd like to try and do is, well, I think I'd like to remove the HT cap. So yeah, so I'm not sure whether or not to try and fix the, you know, the newer CRT unit, or just swap over the actual CRT tube. And I have to admit, I'm kind of thinking that probably what I should do is just try swapping the tubes over. That will probably be the quickest and maybe the safest method of doing it, given that you know, I don't actually know what I'm doing, and like I say, I am struggling a bit. I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm thinking I would like to take this anode cap off, and I know that people often discharge them, so I'm guessing that I need to try and do that. Now I've got one of these high voltage meters here, so I'm guessing what I should do is try and stick that in and make sure it's discharged. I've got an insulated screwdriver here. Oh, I can't seem to get that off. It's very tight. So I've just given this a clean because I can't get the bloody thing off. And I'm guessing any of you who actually know about TVs and stuff, you're probably laughing at me. Obviously I don't want to break the tube. I'm scared of getting an electric shock because I don't really know what I'm doing. I think I might have discharged the tube, but you know, who can tell. That's the anode there, isn't it? So how do we get this off? I keep discharging this, so it must be discharged now. Can I just pull that back? I think I have to squeeze it. I think that's what I have to do. I'll use a pair of pliers to squeeze it. And I keep gingerly shorting this thing out. I guess that was it. So that's the anode cap off, isn't it? Now I know that I've seen old electricians just try to draw an arc from the chassis. I mean, I probably don't need to do that because I know that this HT works, but I'm guessing that I would quite like to check that the other unit isn't making HT. So yeah, let's power that up. Now I'm thinking that I don't particularly want HT flashing around and this module floating. So I think what I might do is I might get a connector, what do you call it? I might just get a link cable and put a good ground link between the metal frame of this unit and this CRT module, because that would seem like a sensible thing to do. And then we'll try powering it up for a second, maybe with you know, with the tube out, and well, we'll see what happens. I'm wondering if I can unplug this thing at the back. Now I know that this thing drives the you know, the heater for the tube. I'm guessing there's 3 electron guns in here, and yeah, so that, you know, that's obviously connected to here. Not exactly sure again how any of this really works. Well, it looks like one of the connectors has come out without me doing anything, so that's one connector we don't have to worry about. Well, you know what, I've decided I might as well just go ahead and take out the CRT unit, because it's got to come out anyway, and I'm guessing that I can measure the HT afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out. You can tell I haven't really got a good plan of what to do here, so I am struggling a bit. You know, usually I like to have a bit of a logical plan for what I'm doing, but yeah, I'm in unknown territory really. Probably the logical thing to do would be to stop and read some books on TVs and CRTs, but yeah, that sounds a bit boring to me. So we've got to take the CRT out, haven't we? And the instructions don't go into that detail of how to actually take it out. There's just connectors and connectors everywhere and loops of wire. It's just really painful to work on. Does that come off from the other side maybe? No, can't get it off there. Well, it looks like I can unplug this one from there. Can I? Can I unplug that one? Yes, I can. That says CB on it. So let's unplug CB. I wonder if it's got high voltage on it, that thing, because it's, you know, they've bothered to run it through like a nylon guide. I don't know. I'm assuming it's maybe just a ground, but I don't know. Can I unplug it from the other way? That's a little bit awkward. Where does it go to? I don't even know. So it goes to the front of the tube somewhere. Right, so we got that out, whatever that does. Is it ever going to go back together? I don't know. Basically, I'm just looking for anything that's got a, you know, a set of connections to the tube on it, because that's what we want to undo. And I don't know if I said earlier, these were actually sold as being like an exchange unit, so I haven't found any information on this at all. I think the idea was if it failed, you just sent it back to Sony and they'd send you another one. Just a bit difficult to know what order to disconnect things in. So I'm trying to follow wires back from you know, connections that are on the tube, but it's such a rat's nest of wiring in here. I think maybe it's come to the point where I might have to withdraw the tube to actually get at anything. Maybe there's not a huge amount of wires left on it now. So I'm guessing we have to take this out here. I bet my face is going to be black because everything I touch has got dirt on it from I guess the ozone given off by the CRT, so everything's filthy. So I'm hoping to disassemble as little as possible, really. So is this going to all come out? Right, okay, well that's loose now, so I'm guessing I can just lift everything forward and just kind of being careful to release connectors as I go. Right, okay, so what can we see? What's still connected? So there we go. Hopefully you can see that. That's the CRT out, and it's very dirty. And of course this is the CRT that's got the neck tube. I don't even remember when we did power up this last time, we could see some kind of stuff flashing over, and although it looked as though it was coming from around the line output transformer, I couldn't actually see what was glowing or where it was coming from because the CRT was in the way. So I'm thinking that I would quite like to just power it up to see if it's still doing that. I don't know if it's a good idea to power up a chassis without anything plugged in. I guess we'll find out, won't we? Well, I know some of the people that have been giving me some advice on the EV blog. I told them I don't know anything about TVs, and they said, you know, if you take some high-res pictures of it, maybe we could have a look with you and give you some ideas of what you're looking at here. And I'm kind of wondering if it's a bit like an oscilloscope. Have you got something like a vertical board and a horizontal board? I'm not exactly sure. So I've got a board here, which I know that this connector here was the incoming. Actually, is that the incoming power supply? Yeah, it was. So that was the incoming power supply, and you know, it's actually got it written on. It's got oh, it actually says it's got the ground DGCS, don't know what that is, and plus 120 volts. So that's the main supply that comes in. We've got another wire that comes off it here, which I'm wondering if that looks to go to the front of the screen. So I think that's a degaussing control for the CRT. I don't necessarily recognise a lot of the IC numbers. There's some general 7.4 logic there. I can see at the back there's a 7.4 LS22, another 7.4 LS22. There's quite a lot of pots on here for adjustment, V-stat, hilt. Well, there's loads of them. There's too many to describe. There's loads and loads of adjustment pots on here. Looks as though a lot of them say things like H on them, so I'm guessing this is maybe a horizontal board. Yeah, about with my depth really. There's I can see an IC here. There's a Sony 207A1 8K, and it's also got a number under it which is CXA1044P. So that's a Sony 207A18K CXA1044P. So that looks like that's the main circuit on there. Now on the high voltage board here we've got, I'm guessing the main controller chip, if you like, is maybe that one down there, which let's see, I don't know if I can see the numbers on it. Let's see it with my glasses on. It says it's an NEC Japan PC16500C, and then there's another number under it that looks like it's hard to see. I can't make out the first digit. It could be a G, it could be a Q, it could be an S, but it looks like it's something like G124 G or S 124 GH005. But this board was making HT, you know, and the other board that we've got, the other module, isn't. So I'm going to do what I said. I'm going to plug this one in. You know, I'm going to try and measure the HT on it. I want to see if it still powers up with the unit outside, with everything else disconnected, all the data controls and stuff like that. I suspect it probably will, but we'll give that a try. Okay, so I've got my high voltage meter, and I don't know if it's any good, this meter. I bought it years ago and I've never tried it. I've got it earthed to the chassis at one end, and I've got the pointy bit stuck in the anode cap, which I've removed from the tube. Now I'm kind of just hoping that I can power it up like this without doing any damage. I've put an awful lot of ground clips here between the actual chassis of the unit and the body of the logic analyzer, the aluminium chassis, because I'm assuming if you've got HT flying around we want everything grounded. We don't want to damage anything, and I'm kind of hoping that it will power up, but I don't know if it's going to need the logic connection, which I haven't got. But there's only one way to find out. Let's power it up and see if anything happens. Okay, so I'm getting a reading of 10,000 volts on the HT, and it isn't making any horrible noises like it was before, so I'll maybe take that as a win. What I am going to do though is I'm just going to put you in the dark, because I could see something flashing in there last time, and I want to make sure that that it isn't flashing anymore. So I'll just turn the power off a sec. So it's going to go a bit dark, everybody. Turn off my big photography lights. Right, well I can't see anything glowing or flashing this time, but I can smell something. But I don't know what I can smell. And I don't really want to put my hands in here because I don't know what's live and what isn't. I mean, I can see that there doesn't appear to be, the HT's back reading 0 again. I'm kind of wondering if whatever I could see last time flickering, if that's the thing that's making the smell. So is there something in here which is getting bloody hot? The answer is I don't know. It's possible that because I've got some of the components disconnected, that there's some part here that's running considerably over voltage because it's not got a load on it. That could be true, so it may not be a good idea to run this thing without a CRT module in.